Welcome everyone to the National Entrepreneurship Development Company, NEDCO, webinar at this year's Virtual Trade and Investment Convention. I am Kristel Grant, NEDCO's Business Incubation Officer, and I will be your moderator today. 2020 has been an unexpected year thus far. Just being in this virtual space is a drastic change for us, and as entrepreneurs, we are catapulted into an accelerated need to go digital. This is why our topic today, Surviving the New Normal, Digital Transformation for MSEs, is not only relevant, but also warranted. In this hour, we will discuss digital tools and techniques every micro, small, and medium enterprise should know. Our distinguished speakers today are Ms. Karen Carraballo, NEDCO's Chief Entrepreneurial Development Officer. Ms. Carraballo has over 20 years' experience in entrepreneurial and business development. She has a passion for changing dynamics and the empowerment of people. She's a certified financial advisor with a wealth of experience in developing and implementing growth opportunities in existing and new markets. Her expansive qualification includes a master's in public administration, bachelor's in business management, certificates in credit risk management, compliance, risk and responsibilities, and change leadership. And then we have Mr. Kristofer Granger. Kristofer Granger is an award-winning marketer and lecturer in the area of digital business. In the last decade, Kristofer has designed and executed some of the Caribbean's most impactful marketing campaigns. He has led the digital marketing arm of the region's largest advertising agencies. He has directed online advertising for mammoth local and international brands. At the Arthur Lockjack Global School of Business, Chris has designed executive educational courses in digital and social media strategy, blogging, content strategy, branding, and advertising. Please note, you can type your questions in the Q&A tab below, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. I now invite Ms. Karen Carraballo to take us through her presentation. Ms. Carraballo, welcome. Yes. Ms. Carraballo, welcome. Ms. Carraballo, your mic is great.
On behalf of the Board of Directors and staff of the National Entrepreneurial Development Company, it is my pleasure to speak to you on surviving the new normal digital transformation for micro and small entrepreneurs. A lot of questions are sometimes asked on what exactly does NEDCO do? Our mandate is to support you, the entrepreneur, to make your business sustainable so that you can succeed. At NEDCO, micro and small entrepreneurs can get the advantage to increase the trust and confidence of their customers by outfitting their business with digital technologies needed to digitalize their business and thus digitally transform their entire operations. To get this service, NEDCO offices can be found at 5 main locations. In Central, we are on the Southern Main Road in Chaguanas. In the East, We are on the Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. Our Port of Spain branch is at Queen's Park East and our Tobago office, as well as we have a South office at Independence Avenue, San Fernando. At NEDCO, we have the requirements for you to achieve your business goals. We foster entrepreneurship on the national landscape by enabling local investment and enterprise. We do this through supporting creativity and innovativeness, funding, encouraging risk-taking, promoting the entrepreneurial mindset, and enabling networking through public education to facilitate a learning environment. So as you see on our slide here, we have our three major products: business financing, business advisory, and business training. For first-time borrowers with us, once our credit requirements are met, can benefit from business financing up to $250,000 and repeat borrowers up to $500,000. Our business advisory sessions are offered to all our clients and the general entrepreneurial public. So too, our business training we offer to all clients as well as the general public. And our business training advisory sessions are geared to, in terms of catering specifically to the needs of our clients. Our training will go from record keeping to costing and pricing, digitization, social media, marketing, a wide set of courses that we look at. Earlier this year, in 2020, was a learning time for all of us, even in terms of NEDCO. So we recognize that we're going through a new norm, and there are a lot of businesses that were challenged in terms of surviving now. So within our area in NEDCO, if to look at us as an example, our service to our clients are considered essential, but our physical offices would have been closed as a request for the lockdown during the March to June period. What we recognized was a need for business continuity, and thus in terms of what this program today is on in terms of the importance of digitization. We needed to contact all our clients. So therefore we looked at operating remotely using the digital technologies that we had from our physical office spaces, but from wherever we were in terms of our phone calls being transferred, if someone was calling, transferred from our office spaces to our knowledgeable and welcoming staff who will contacted all our clients, because we recognize there's a need to contact our clients to find out what was their status, particularly to this pandemic. What we learned in that is that as an entrepreneur, a lot of our clients did not have the presence, the digital technology, the social media presence to connect, to continue their business. In terms of answering phone calls, you would expect for business continuity that if this is your business number, being able to actually accept the calls within a particular time frame. So we recognize, and so thus become the need for this particular session is in terms of these sectors that would have been impacted particularly, not only because they were considered non-essential, but also because they did not have the digital technology to go forward. Thus came the importance of us in terms of us working with our clients during that period of time to understand what was their situation and providing the support required during that time. So we recognize that some organizations, particularly the retail sector, would have benefited from that particular time, but there were those particularly that could not benefit. As such, we saw the need to improve to work in terms of our support services to provide a digital platform for these clients. And what were the issues we recognize faced by these clients? There were some who would have had loans, and they are concerned now what would be the impact of their credit history, their credit report, their credit score. How do we address that? We would have addressed that by in terms of you working, offering particular moratoriums. But at the same time, analyzing our organization, we will recognize that here there must be a need for business continuity? How do they go forward? And some of the issues would have been they were concerned about business closure. They could not have stocks. There was a lack of customers. Today, even in the papers, we are hearing a lot of the events or the cinema sectors are complaining that they may not even be able to continue, even though they have gotten the go ahead to open their business because of the limitations and what it means for them to operate. So how do we continue keeping our business relevant? And that is what our main purpose of today in terms of our mandate as an organization. So for us yesterday, what we considered normal is no longer normal to us. It is, we had to look at our new norm. Our culture we would have been one where we would socially engage, we believe in personal service, we need to hug each other. We only feel that we have accomplished or we have given proper customer service if it is we actually hold the person's hand. Right? But now we have a new norm in terms of how we do business, that we have to operate without that social engagement. We have to have these systems in place to ensure business continuity. So as we go further into this, in terms of exactly understanding how digitization works, we will show you how important that the whole process of digitization is. And the term digitization. Now you will see here, we're trying to understand exactly what digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation. Now these terms is not new. We would have moved over time in terms of having analog phones to digital phones, to analog clocks to digital clocks, to walking into pay a bill, to now doing e-statements and online transactions. So today we are hosting a webinar and I'm communicating with you using the digital mediums that we have. And that is exactly what we're talking about here, right? So my other speaker here, he will connect with you even more in terms of all the specific areas. But at NEDCO, this is what we do. So our business advisory services and our financial services, as well as our business training services, would add that value to help you go where you want to go. And thus allow the benefits of seeing your organization grow, because through the digital transformation, it looks at the entire business operations. So where we will look at digitalization as the technologies that you use, and the digitalization as the processes that get you there. But in terms of how each area of your organization transform by developing these technologies, we will show you how this could be done. And we do want to understand, particularly during the first period of lockdown, that the journey to get to digitalize is not going to be easy. At NEDCO, we provide a number of, like I said earlier, training programs. So as of last week, we had one on business planning. And you will recognize that you may be stopped in a particular area now. How do the organizations pivot? How do we change? It may be simple to say, yes, I can do something differently. How do I analyze my reports? And we recognize that a lot of times as entrepreneurs, that need for having your business plan revised is even more relevant now. We will recognize that in life there will always be disruptions. And thus came the term for our webinar today is on surviving this norm. So if our intention is to survive this norm, then we need to not just stop or just freeze, but simply in terms of recreating and evaluating what is my next plan. You always hear about the plan. What is my backup plan? What are my assets do I have? What are my resources that I can use? Who are the people that I can look to give me that support? And that's where NEDCO comes in, right? By our support services, we will be able to work with you to get you to re-achieve your goals and connect with your customers. lack of awareness of the digital transportation, the transformation impacts. I just want to say a little bit on that. And I'll just go back to specifically during our lockdown period when we spent a lot of time contacting our clients, trying to get where they are. And we recognize a lot, some of them, like I said, didn't have the social media presence to continue their business. They didn't, some of them were not even responding to their emails. So as entrepreneurs, is that these are the things that are really critical. We need to make proper use of our technologies, and it's not simply saying that this is how I do business. I have the information in my head. Um, I know who my customers know me, so the collection of data here is very important. The use of the services to get you where you want to go, right, is even more critical. And I would keep saying that at NEDCO, we provide financing and we provide training and advisory. So therefore, we will be willing to work with you to help you in this digital transformation journey. Right. So basically here, what we're asking you to do is to evaluate your organization, right? And that is particularly, and I will repeat again, the importance of your business plan. So a business plan is not just simply a document that you would have created to come to get financing from us. The importance of keeping your records in order is not simply to go for financing or to do tax at that particular period of time or to tender for contract, but the information that you use, that you store, helps you know in terms of where you need to go. So you evaluate your state of readiness. You look at what is your strategy. Of course, you're working with a team to get your team buy-in, and you provide thorough training. Think about what needs to be done. So when you think about what needs to be done, you take it in particular portions. You break it up. What are the things do I need to do? And of course, you need to invest in technology. It's easy to say, I do not have the money to do something right now. But if it is, you are to look at it at later on, what is the cost of not doing particular actions? And how do we survive? So that's always the question. How do we survive? Let's look back to 9/11, right? That was a disruptive moment in a lot of lives. And people were saying, after that, what next? What's going to happen next? What came out of that was a number of various business. All of a sudden, the need for security services became even more relevant. The need for compliance officers became more relevant, whether it's tutors or persons putting things in place. Fraud accounting. So there are a number, and then even the packaging, more importance of coding. So we need to take this time as entrepreneurs and look at and say, okay, what is going on now? What are the opportunities that is out there? How do I pivot from what I'm currently doing to make a change? And sometimes these disruptions are forces that push us to think differently, for us to become more creative, for us to make better use of our resources. So I just wanted to say to the entrepreneurs here, while things may seem bleak, I don't want to say dark, you may see, that there are always opportunities and there are ways that we can survive. It takes the will to want to survive, and we have NEDCO as your support team with welcoming and knowledgeable staff who are willing to work with you to help you get that, to survive this note. We are here committed to provide support. We offer, and I will say, our entrepreneurial packages, which includes our training and business advisory services, our loan packages, and we are very, what should I say? Committed to work with you in terms of providing the support services through the financing to get you there. Currently, we are offering entrepreneurial relief grant, and we are working to help your entrepreneurs who may need that support. So you feel free to contact us for us to provide you the information to get you there. We have our investment packages. Our investment packages include a starter package, $15,000, up to $15,000 in business financing for a payback period of 24 months. We have the light package, 30,000 payback period for 24 months, and our advanced investment package of 60,000 payback period for 36 months, and our ultimate package, 75,000 payback period of 36 months. We look forward to you. Our numbers are there. You can contact us on our website, on our social media. Our numbers are 821-5800, and you can contact us at our training at nedco.gov.tt, or check us on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, and our Instagram page at nedco_tt. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Karen.
Right, so we'll pass you back on to Kristel.
Thank you for that insightful presentation, Ms. Carraballo. It is key for all MSEs to understand the current situation and develop a mindset to embrace the trajectory of the business environment. In this area of uncertainty, it is wonderful to recognize that NEDCO is here to assist us. I saw that you presented some wonderful investment packages and entrepreneurial development packages that can be found on our Facebook page, Instagram page, and Twitter. I now invite Mr. Kristofer Granger to carry us into the areas of digital devices, platforms, data, media, and marketing. Over to you, Mr. Granger.
Just needed to put on my mic. And I guess I want to confirm that you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's afternoon. I'm gonna attempt to show you guys some frameworks, really in the form of questions that in the short time that we have together today, that you can ask yourself about your organization to ensure that you're doing what needs to be done to, as NEDCO rightly put it, survive this new normal. So this presentation will walk us through a sense of what digital transformation is and how it can impact your organization, and what I think you need to be thinking about to push yourself into this new normal. So Forbes magazine describes digital transformation in that it fundamentally changes how enterprises operate and deliver value to customers by integrating digital technology into all areas of business. And I want you to think about that this idea of how we give value to customers. That's really going to be the theme of this conversation. It's about giving value to customers and finding where that value lies. Digital transformation can be defined as an acceleration of business activities, processes, competencies, and models to fully leverage the changes and opportunities of digital technology and their impact in a strategic and prioritized way. I just want to pull out a few things there. This idea of being able to fully leverage the changes in opportunities of digital technology, changes and opportunities of digital technology. I want you to think of that as you equipping your company to plug in to the rest of the world, to plug into the new data-driven digital world. So it's about using the tools, using the technologies, and adopting a mindset that ensures that your business is operating at the same level that the customers expect it to operate, because consumers are operating with business on a global level, and much of the world has already or is very much focused on getting into this digital data-driven space. So we start with the need for digital transformation. And I zoomed into three general needs for us to be thinking about digital transformation. And the first is meeting customer demands on the business. So being able to meet consumers where they are and improve the customer experience overall of your business. So we will spend some time discussing how we look at that customer experience and what we need to think about to improve their experience or to ensure that they are having that digital experience. The next need is reducing operational costs, of course, through greater efficiency. Digital transformation allows you to operate business more efficiently and make data-driven decisions across all areas of your value chain. So we're really trying to utilize data, which gives us a feedback loop that allows us to make smarter decisions and to make faster decisions. The last, which of course saves us money and makes us more efficient on our resources. The last need for digital transformation that I'm going to discuss today is the integration of the business tools to the digital world. So we're talking about plugging into the rest of the world using tools that are machine readable. So we want to ensure that our business functions and doesn't get left behind as we keep that digital conversation going. So this diagram in front of us here is a mapping of the customer experience. And I want to encourage you to look at this mapping. Okay. I want to encourage you to look at this mapping as your organization. So think about from the very beginning of when a consumer becomes aware of your organization, all the way through when they become a loyal customer. And you have to, when thinking about digital transformation, the first thing you need to do is really be able to put yourself in the mind of the consumer. So we start with this thinking of what are the ways that consumers are become aware of our organization, and how can we ensure that we're having that digital conversation with them, or that we're using the digital tools that facilitate awareness. Because gone are the days where consumers became aware of things outside of digital spaces. We know now for sure that awareness comes greatly through social media. It comes greatly through online word of mouth, digital advertising, search advertising, pay-per-click advertising, display advertising on Google. So what I'm encouraging you to do is think about all of the ways that consumers can become aware of your organization through digital tools. And then we move into consideration. What makes a consumer consider consider your organization more deeply? Is it through reading blog posts? Is it through getting emails from you? Is it through more word of mouth happening, or word of mouse, as we say in the digital space, happening? What are the things that you can do to really improve your digital consideration activities? And then we move into conversion activities, the idea that helps a consumer solidify the sale. So now that the consumer is aware of your brand or aware of your product or your business and has considered it and is now interested in converting, interested in making that sale, what happens when they come onto your social media page and send a message to you? Are you responding? What happens if they go to your website or send you an email or utilize other onboarding or communications tools to be able to convert? Are you there to facilitate them? And if you are there, how easy is that experience? How easy is it for the consumer to onboard, to become a consumer of yours, to become a customer of yours? And then the sale or the service, the actual sale or the service. Now it's funny because sometimes there is this debate now whether the sale, the actual interface, is sacred, and if it can happen with the use of digital. But in fact, it can. We talk about payment systems like WePay, PayPal, and other integration systems that allow consumers to make payments. There are many banks in Trinidad and Tobago now that facilitate the ability for businesses to to conduct transactions online. So I suggest that you have a conversation with your bank to see how facilitatable that is. Once you've had that sale, once you've encountered the consumer and you've turned them into a customer, we now think about, of course, the relationship just begins. We now begin to think about transaction management. How is the consumer going to have multiple transactions with you? Do you need to engage with a transaction management platform? Maybe think about, again, when you have a bank account and you go online and you see your customer, the customer is able to see the profile of their purchases. They see their transactions, they see their information, their statements, and they can conduct transactions right there on their own using a digital platform without the requirement to have to come into the bank to do that. Think about that concept and see how you can apply that concept to your organization. And then there's re-engagement. Re-engagement is what happens after they make that sale, after they make their transactions, they're a customer. How do you keep giving them more information? How do you upsell them? How do you give them more value to have them understand more about what they can get from you so that they can keep coming back, or keep coming back for more diverse types of services from you? Are you using email platforms, mailer platforms like MailChimp, and Constant Contact, things like that? Um, and then finally, community management. Now that they're part of a community, we understand that the online space allows for not just dialogue between the business and the consumer, but what we like to call trialogue. This idea that the business and the consumer can have dialogue, but the consumer can also have a dialogue with other consumers, allowing for this community to take place. And what are you doing to facilitate a sense of community and build a tribe around your consumers? Is that happening on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter? How are you dealing with that? At each stage of this sort of double funnel that we're looking at here, there are a number of tools that SMEs can use to really plug in to the system. I'm not going to be able to get into all of those tools now, but I think Kristel, Grant will be able to give you guys a bit of insight into a follow-up workshop that we'll be having that is a lot more there's a lot more hand-holding and a lot more insight into how to actually do these things. But for now, I need you to understand and get an overview that we really need to look at our business from the perspective of the consumer and be able to think about how do we use digital tools to enhance their experience at each stage. So that's the question you need to ask yourself at this point. Getting in now to the actual meat of digital transformation, these are some major considerations and some major factors that I encourage you to think about as you get into your digital marketing, your digital transformation journey. So this framework is something called the 5Ds of digital transformation, and it requires you to look at what are the digital technologies, digital devices, digital media, digital data, and digital platforms that need to be considered as you embark upon your digital transformation journey. So at the digital technology level, marketing technology stack, the list of software tools that businesses use to create interactive experiences, from websites and mobile apps to in-store kiosks and email campaigns. So once you've gone through your customer experience map, you should be able to find yourself with a list of technologies and tools that are required. Whether you know the name of them or not, they're Googleable to a great extent. There's technology that is we move from free to very expensive, but many of them have free trials, and most of them are worth the investment to be able to utilize the technologies to allow your business to have those conversations online with your consumers. And then there's digital data, the insights businesses collect about their audience profiles and their interactions with businesses, which now needs to be protected by law, of course, in most countries. The thing about it is, when you're thinking about data, you're asking yourself, what is the information? What do I need to know about my consumers, and what do I need to capture about them? Once I begin to engage a consumer at the even at the awareness or the consideration level, sometimes you may have the opportunity to ask them for their email address or their phone number. Depending on your organization, you may need to capture very specific types of information, maybe their location, maybe geographic information, maybe demographic information, their gender, their age, their marital status. Maybe you might need to capture psychographic information, or data, like what are their interests, what are the things that they are trying to achieve. Those are things that, of course, are personal to them and private to a great extent, but consumers give that to businesses so that businesses can enhance their experience. That businesses understand the consumers better and give them a better product, a more personalized product. This is information that we need to capture. So you need to determine what information you need to capture from your consumers. And then we jump onto digital media, different paid, owned, and earned communications channels for reaching and engaging audiences, including advertising, email, messaging, search engines, social networks, that sort of thing. So of course, this is more on the side of awareness and consideration. And you want to list or ask yourself, what earned media, what owned media do I need? Do I need a website to be able to convert consumers? Do I need to have a Facebook page? Do I need a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest page? Do I need all of those pages? Are those pages where my consumers are? Or do I just need one? Am I going to be satisfied with engaging my consumers on Instagram or TikTok? Of course, depending on where your consumers are. Do I need email platforms? Do I need to understand the Google interface so that I can do Google advertising on search and display? So these are the things that you need to consider when planning out your digital transformation schemes. Going on now to digital platforms. Most interactions on devices are through a browser or apps from major platforms or services like Facebook and Instagram and Google and Twitter. So you want to ask yourself, what are the platforms specifically that I need to have my brand represented on? I want my brand represented on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, or I need to have my brand represented in an app, or I need to be able to have my brand be engaged through mobile devices, or it can only be engaged really through desktop devices, or is there going to be a separate experience for mobile and a separate experience for desktop? So I hope this isn't overwhelming for you guys, but these really are the considerations that you have to begin thinking about as you move into your digital transformation space. And then finally, digital devices. Well, finally for this slide, digital devices. Audiences experience brands as they interact with business websites and mobile apps, typically through a combination of connected devices, including smartphones, tablets, desktop computers, TVs, and gaming devices. So you really are looking at this idea of your company from so many different angles. How would consumers experience my brand through a smart TV, if necessary? How would they consider my brand through a smartphone, through tablets or desktop computers? So you're really just thinking about all of the ways that consumers engage with digital, and now think about how is my brand going to meet them there through digital technology, data, media platforms, and devices. So to be very I guess supportive of your ability to move this forward and to actually give you guys some value that you can take home today, I put a how do we use these 5Ds? So when you're thinking about digital technology, actively, when you leave this session, I encourage you to list the technology that you can use to enhance the customer's experience at each stage of the journey. So we spoke about that journey. That's a sort of double funnel. So you list the technology that you can use, list the technology that you're aware of. Even if you don't know what brand of email platform you want to use, you know that you want to communicate with consumers on email. You know you want to communicate with them on a blog. You know you want to communicate with them via digital advertising. This is where you list that type of technology that you want to use, and that begins your research. Digital data. Identify the data that needs to be collected and managed in order to make smarter decisions throughout your company. So as you think about your company and you think about the way you want to bring value to your consumers, and also how you want to bring value to your employees, what data needs to be gathered to give them a great experience. And then digital platforms. Determine the platforms you will use to engage your customers and potential employees. Start by finding out what platforms they use. And when we're talking about platforms here, we're talking about Facebook, Instagram. A nice one for employees is JobVite. It's a nice platform that really works as an intermediary if you're trying to have a robust recruitment process, and you want to have your employees have a good experience, or your potential employees have a good experience with your recruitment. So you really want to list all of the different platforms that your consumers are on, so that you can know these are priority platforms for my business to be on. Digital media. Identify what digital channels, what digital media channels will carry the messages of your business. So you're thinking here about maybe there are newspapers or bloggers or online publications that you may want to pick up the phone or send an email and have a conversation with them and say, hey, can you do a feature on my organization? Because that's where your little tricks like search engine optimization and that sort of thing begins to bring value to your organization, because you're beginning to put your messages across different parts of the internet. So you're putting your messages on blogs, on your own owned media like your website, on your social media. You may even want to consider influencers and have them push your messages out there. So you really want to think about what are the areas, what are the digital media channels that you can use to engage your consumers and spread your message across. And then finally, digital devices. Identify the devices through which customers will engage with your digital content. So what devices are they using, and how are you optimizing your content for those devices? So is it that they're going to be reading your social media content on a smartphone? Are you designing your advertising content for smartphone orientation? Are they going to be using your content, seeing your content on a tablet or on a PC? Those are the you have to be clear on how you want consumers to interface with your content. And this here is my last slide. Oh my God, it's so much. It's a roadmap. It's a roadmap, and like any other roadmap that is worthwhile and is valuable, it's not going to be simple, but it is going to be doable. If you use this digital transformation roadmap, this 25-step roadmap, if you use this and you as a sort of table of contents for your digital transformation planning, I assure you it's going to bring a lot of value to you. And of course, I will be able to, in a follow-up workshop, I think we should be able to do that next month or in a very short time, go through this in a lot more detail. In the space of time we have now, what I can do is introduce it to you and give you a sense of the scope of what a digital transformation is going to involve. And so you can get started on it. And then when we meet again at the digital transformation workshop that NEDCO will be doing in a couple of weeks, we'll go through this like a workbook so that you can apply these things to your company with my guidance. But for now, I'll just go through and give a brief explanation of each one, and we'll call that a wrap for today's session. Number one is brand communications goals. Of course, we need to start with our goals. We need to be very clear on what our brand communications goals are. What do we want to communicate as a brand? And this speaks about your brand's value system, and it speaks about the things you stand for and the things you stand against, and the type of tribe, the type of community that you're going to attract, the type and the size. Because when we speak about goals, we're always talking about SMART goals and SMART objectives. Then we get into number two, current performance. And this is a degree of situational analysis where you have a sense of the metrics and the performance indicators that define how well your business is doing now. Then we get into customer insight. Who are our current customers? Who do we want our current customers to be? Yeah. Who do we want our current customers to be? What insight do we have about those customers? what demographic insight do we have? What behavioral insight do we have? What social media channels are they on? What do they do? What search patterns do they have to be able to find products like yours? What psychographic, what interests do they have? Those types of things. What insight do you have on your customers? And then marketplace opportunities. What is happening in the market? Are there new payment systems? Are there new communication systems? Are there what are the new things that are happening in the market, or the old things that are happening in the market that facilitate opportunities for you? And then competitor benchmarking is important. Where are your competitors? Are they also online? What are the sizes of their communities? What platforms are they using? What is their website experience like? What are those types of questions you're asking about your competitors, so you understand what's happening in the competition space? And then number 6, you define your vision. What does success look like? What does a fully digitally transformed version of your organization look like? Can you express that in words? Can you articulate that? Number 7, align business goals. So your communications goals and your overall business goals. Business goals tend to have to do more with the number of transactions you want to have, the money that you want to make over a particular time period. And is that aligned with your communications goals? Your communications goals speak to the size of your community. Does the size of your community equate to the amount of money or the number of transactions you project? Then you want to set SMART objectives. What are the overarching objectives that you want to achieve over a particular period? And for those of us who are now being introduced to the concept of SMART objectives, it really means objectives that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. I say it all the time, I don't know how it just went out of my head. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And how to think about that is think about it as quantified objectives over a particular time. None of your objectives should be without a metric, without a figure, because if you have these sort of puffy, overly qualitative objectives, it's going to be really subjective or really difficult to tell whether you've actually achieved your objective or not. So it's really important to have quantified objectives, particularly in the digital space. Set KPIs. KPIs are key performance indicators. So those are indicators of your reaching your objectives given particular milestones. So you need to know what is success going to look like over milestones. What are going to be indicators of success? We'll get into that more in the workshop, but in those indicators of success speak about how many people are aware. Is that going to give you some indication into how many people will consider and then convert? Those types of things. And then defining your dashboards. A dashboard is where you look at your performance. You look at your performance every month or every week or every quarter. So you know, because of your KPIs, you know what good performance looks like. So you have a dashboard to be able to have a conversation where you show all of your most important performance indicators, and you and your team or you can sit and have a conversation about where are we, what are we doing well, what needs to be improved. And that needs to be something that is iterative, because in the digital space, when you have data coming at you all the time, you have the information to be able to make fast decisions. And if you can make fast decisions, then you can, what we call pivot. You can change strategy, change direction if you think that your performance is not going the way it's expected to go. Then segmentation and targeting speaks to identifying very clearly who you want to do business with. I'm going to try to go a little faster now because I know we're running out of time.
Yes. Hi, Chris. We are really running out of time, and you have 1 minute to explain to us this wonderful map that you have.
Okay, well, I'll go through. I think positioning really speaks to what is the space you're occupying in the mind of the consumer. We spoke about the multi-channel experience and the way the consumers would experience your brand at different things. Now you want to, at number 14, you want to determine what are the ways you are going to engage them at those different channels. Your contact strategy speaks about how you're going to speak to people who are already your customers, who already want to be engaged with you. Your digital roadmap speaks about your approach to growing in the digital space. Your 90-day plan is a clear action plan that talks about what are the specific things that are going to happen to get me to my goals over the next 90 days. Your media schedule talks about the different digital media outlets that you're going to engage to be able to spread the word across the internet. Your editorial calendar, I think that's what the editorial calendar speaks about your content that you are going to create over the next 90 days or so. Resource allocation speaks about who is responsible for doing what and what resources are going to support you in doing the things that you're trying to achieve. Your people engagement talks about all of the personnel that are going to help you move this thing forward. Your process review speaks about being very clear on the way you're going to do things. Your tools and reporting platforms speak about your technology, the software that's going to help you. Your qualitative feedback really comes from talking to customers and talking to stakeholders about your plan and about your prototype to be able to ensure that this thing is really adding value to the consumer as you expected it to. And then finally, that leads you to prioritized actions. So that really brings us to the end of my presentation. And I hope that what you were able to get from this is some tidbits that you can take with you to actually start thinking about your digital transformation process. And that's it. I hope I wrapped up in that minute. Thank you very much, Kristel.
Wow, Chris. That was such an informative presentation. Thank you so much. We know digital transformation is usually a scary thought for MSEs, but you have given us a deeper understanding of the topic and whet our appetite certainly to learn more in the upcoming training on digital transformation on the 15th of December with NEDCO. So now we're going to take a couple of questions. We don't have much time, so I'm just going to send 2 questions out, and the other questions we will answer them and send it out to our participants. So my first question is for Karen, and someone wants to know where would they be able to access NEDCO's training. Ms. Carraballo?
Yes, good afternoon again. All right, so our next training will be the digital transformation training. To access the training, you can get us via email at training@nedco.gov.tt. You can check on our Facebook page, our Twitter, and our Instagram page, or you can call our offices, right? But most definitely, once you email us, we always respond.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And we have a question here for Kristofer. Do you have to be digital savvy to utilize the 5 Ds of digital transformation?
It's funny. Digital savviness is a funny thing, and it exists on a wide spectrum. Yes, there is a degree of digital literacy that will be required for you to be able to utilize these platforms. So you're going to need to acquaint yourself with the different tools that your consumers are using, these social media tools and different bits of software that you can use to enhance that. But luckily, there's a lot of training, including training from NEDCO, that is really going to help support your ability to be a lot more digitally literate in this space.
Thank you, Mr. Granger. And we have one more question. Does Mr. Granger do diagnostic assessment of the digital assets or tools of SMEs and make recommendations accordingly, of course, due to COVID-19? And someone at a discounted cost. Denise. Denise was asking you.
I do consulting, yes. And the world of digital tools is really very, very vast. And so every single organization really needs to know which tools are most applicable to their needs and to their consumers. You all can contact me on LinkedIn and we can have a conversation.
Great. And one more for you, because it's coming fast for you. Devices and data is clear. Roll wants to know the difference between media, technology, and platform, because it seems blurred, right? And can you share examples to distinguish the three? So distinguish between media, technology, and platform.
Okay, when we're speaking about media, we're talking generally about earned or owned media or paid media. So usually that's this idea of think about media in the same traditional sense. Let's say Newsday, Guardian, or Express might have their online publications. That's a media channel. That is earned media that we can get our business message across the internet through them. Of course, there's paid media like advertising and owned media like your own website. So that's media. The next one was technology.
Technology.
Those are the tools that we want to use. So you're thinking about platforms like MailChimp to help facilitate mailing with consumers, or we're thinking about automation software maybe to help consumers have a better onboarding experience, or some sort of transaction management software to give consumers the ability to build a profile for your business. And the last one was
It was technology,
platforms.
media, and platforms.
Right. So when we're talking about platforms, usually we're speaking about social media platforms or advertising platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Google Ads. Those are the platforms. So we want to determine where do we want to have our brand represented based on where our consumers are. So that's the difference.
Okay, that's wonderful. And we had a question for Karen, Ms. Carraballo. Someone wanted to know if you have to be a client of NEDCO to access the workshops.
Okay, so that particular client, actually, I did that person, I did respond to them privately in the chat. I've been responding to the chat.
Wonderful.
So for those who are interested in the training program, so I'm seeing a lot of questions asking about our training. You don't have to be a client of NEDCO. In fact, the public, the entrepreneurs on the whole are all clients of NEDCO. So if you're interested in getting our training, you can email us at training@nedco.gov.tt or check our Facebook page. You register for it, and we would be able to now, based on what particular program is coming up. So on Friday the 13th is our next training program. We're going to do record keeping and cash management. Following that, we'll have costing and pricing on the 21st of November. And on the other one for November will be business taxation and know your taxes on the 26th of November.
Thank you, Karen. Oh, sorry. So we have come to the end of our wonderful session. The information shared today was treasured, and it has motivated us to take an introspective look at our business and surviving this new normal.
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Who are interested in the digital transformation, that will be held in December, the 15th of December.
Yes, it would be. Thank you, Karen. And our great offers can also be found on our social media pages as well. So now as we have come to the end, it's time for you to skip over to our Pavilion 8 at Pavilion 8 and TIC virtual platform where you can video chat with one of our representatives. You can apply now for NEDCO's investment packages and entrepreneurial development packages, or you can simply check us out on Facebook or Instagram to find out more about our support services. So let's go.